Before there were battles on Earth, an epic war was waged in the heavens. Imagine a realm where beings of immense power clashed in a struggle for dominance, where the stakes weren't just the fate of a single world, but the destiny of all creation. What could drive the once glorious Lucifer, the morning star, to rise against the throne of God? And how did the Archangel Michael, with his legion of loyal angels, come to stand as the defender of heaven? This is not just a myth or a legend, but a story that has echoed through the ages, influencing our understanding of good and evil, loyalty and rebellion, and the very nature of divine justice. In this video, we will delve into the dramatic and theologically significant war in heaven, a celestial conflict that pitted the Archangel Michael against the fallen angel Lucifer, now known as Satan. This battle is not just a tale of good versus evil, but a foundational narrative that shapes the understanding of spiritual warfare, free will, and the ultimate triumph of divine justice in Christian theology. From the ancient scriptures to modern interpretations, this story has been a cornerstone of belief, teaching us about the consequences of pride, the power of faith, and the enduring struggle between the forces of light and darkness. We will explore the origins of this cosmic conflict, beginning with Lucifer's rebellion, a moment of profound significance where one of God's most favored angels turned against the Creator. We'll delve into the fateful decisions that led to his fall from grace, examining the role of free will and the choices made by the angels in this divine drama. Then, we'll move on to analyze the pivotal battle itself, drawing from biblical texts, particularly the Book of Revelation, to understand the roles of Michael and other key celestial beings. We'll discuss the imagery and symbolism used to depict this battle, and what it reveals about the nature of spiritual warfare. Finally, we'll examine the aftermath of the war, considering its implications for both heaven and earth, the impact on humanity, and what it symbolizes in the ongoing struggle between good and evil. By the end of this video, you'll gain a deeper understanding of how this ancient conflict continues to influence our world and our beliefs today. Before he became the embodiment of evil, Lucifer was the most radiant of all angels, known as the morning star. His beauty and wisdom were unmatched, and he held a position of great honor, often seen as the pinnacle of God's creation. Lucifer was not just admired, but revered by the other angels. He stood close to God's throne, a beacon of light and perfection. However, within this radiant being, a seed of pride began to grow. The scriptures tell us that Lucifer's heart became lifted up because of his beauty, and he became corrupted by his splendor. This pride led him to desire something unimaginable, to elevate his throne above the stars of God, to sit on the Mount of the Assembly in the far reaches of the north, to be like the Most High. This hubris, this longing to usurp God's authority, marked the beginning of Lucifer's tragic fall from grace. As Lucifer's pride grew, so did his dissatisfaction with his role. No longer content to serve, he began to covet the power and authority of the Creator himself. This discontentment turned to rebellion as Lucifer sought to overthrow the divine order. But this was not an impulsive act. Lucifer was cunning and strategic. He knew that to challenge God, he would need support. Using his charm and influence, he began to sow seeds of doubt and discontent among the angels. He whispered of a new order, one where they could be free from the constraints imposed by God, where they could rule alongside him in glory. His rebellion was not just about power, it was a rejection of the very essence of divine authority, and an audacious attempt to redefine the cosmic order. This betrayal wasn't just a momentary lapse in judgment. It was a calculated insurrection that shook the foundations of heaven itself. Lucifer's ability to rally other angels to his cause speaks to his charisma and the persuasive power of his rebellion. These angels, once loyal servants of God, now found themselves ensnared by Lucifer's vision of a new world order. The rebellion led by Lucifer wasn't just a power struggle, it was an ideological divide that split the heavenly host. Those who sided with Lucifer were not merely discontented. They were convinced that his way was just, that he was the rightful leader who could offer them more than God's dominion. The consequences of this rebellion were catastrophic, setting in motion a chain of events that would lead to the first war in the cosmos, a war that would alter the destiny of all creation. Central to Lucifer's rebellion is the concept of free will, a profound and divine gift bestowed upon the angels by God. Unlike the rest of creation, angels were given the ability to choose, to act according to their own will rather than mere instinct or command. This freedom is what made Lucifer's rebellion possible. It allowed him to entertain thoughts of pride and ambition, ultimately leading him to make the fateful decision to rebel against God. Free will, in this context, is a double-edged sword. It is what makes love and loyalty meaningful, for it requires a choice. But it also opens the door to defiance and sin. Without free will, Lucifer could not have chosen to rebel, and the subsequent war in heaven would never have occurred. Lucifer's choice to rebel, and the choices of the angels who followed him, highlight the profound significance of free will in the cosmic order. This narrative underscores the idea that even beings of great power and wisdom are not immune to the temptations of pride and ambition. Lucifer's fall is a stark reminder that free will, while a gift, carries with it the weight of responsibility. The angels who chose to follow Lucifer were exercising their free will, but in doing so, they turned away from the light and embraced darkness. This choice reflects the broader theological theme of the cosmic struggle between good and evil, where the exercise of free will plays a crucial role in the unfolding of divine history. Moreover, the concept of free will in this context is not just about the ability to choose. It is about the consequences of those choices. The rebellion led by Lucifer and his followers was a deliberate rejection of God's authority, an act of supreme defiance. But it also set the stage for a deeper understanding of loyalty and faith. The angels who chose to remain loyal to God did so not out of compulsion, but out of a genuine desire to serve and honor their Creator. Their loyalty was tested in the most extreme way, and their choice to stand with God in the face of rebellion reaffirmed the importance of free will in the moral and spiritual dimensions of the universe. This distinction between forced obedience and willing loyalty is key to understanding the moral and spiritual dimensions of the war in heaven. Amidst this growing turmoil, Michael, the Archangel, emerged as the steadfast leader of the heavenly host. Unlike Lucifer, Michael is often depicted as the epitome of humility and obedience, a warrior who serves God with unwavering devotion. His name, which means "who is like God," itself poses a challenge to the prideful aspiration of Lucifer. Michael's role in the heavenly hierarchy is not merely as a warrior, but as a defender of the divine order. He is the commander of God's army, tasked with the responsibility of protecting heaven from those who seek to disrupt its peace. Michael's emergence as a leader is not just a response to Lucifer's rebellion. It is a fulfillment of his divine purpose. His strength lies not in his might alone, but in his unwavering commitment to God's will. Michael's leadership is characterized by his unshakable faith and his commitment to God's will. While Lucifer sought to elevate himself above all others, Michael's strength lay in his willingness to submit to God's authority and to fight for the preservation of divine justice. In the hierarchy of heaven, Michael is often seen as the antithesis of Lucifer, a being who embodies humility, obedience, and righteousness. As the rebellion grew, it became clear that a confrontation was inevitable, and Michael stood ready to lead the forces of heaven against the insurgent angels. His leadership was not born out of a desire for power, but out of a deep sense of duty and a profound understanding of what was at stake. Michael's role in the war in heaven is a testament to the power of righteousness and the belief that, no matter how formidable the opposition, evil will not prevail against the will of God. As the leader of the heavenly host, Michael's role was not just to fight, but to inspire and guide the angels who remained loyal to God. His presence was a source of strength and reassurance in a time of great uncertainty and fear. The war that was to come would be unlike anything the cosmos had ever seen, and Michael's leadership would be crucial in ensuring that the forces of good remained united and resolute. His victory over Lucifer would not just be a triumph of might, but a victory of faith, loyalty, and divine justice. The story of Michael and his battle against Lucifer is one of the most powerful narratives in Christian theology, illustrating the eternal struggle between good and evil and the ultimate triumph of God's will over the forces of darkness. The war in heaven is one of the most vividly depicted events in Christian theology, especially in the book of Revelation. The battle is described as a cosmic conflict, where Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, who is identified as Satan, and his rebellious followers. Revelation 12:7-9 paints a dramatic picture. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent, called the devil and Satan, which deceived the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. This passage not only narrates the event, but also sets the tone for the cosmic struggle between good and evil that would continue on Earth. The imagery used in the description of this battle is powerful and symbolic. The dragon, representing Satan, is depicted as a formidable adversary, a being of immense strength and cunning. The angels of God, led by Michael, are portrayed as righteous warriors, defending the sanctity of heaven against the forces of chaos. This battle is not just a physical confrontation, but a spiritual war, with the fate of the cosmos hanging in the balance. The celestial battleground itself is symbolic, representing the very heart of creation, the place where God's authority is absolute. And yet, even here, rebellion arises. The expulsion of Satan and his angels from heaven marks a decisive moment in the narrative. A moment where divine justice is enacted, and the forces of darkness are banished from the presence of God. While Michael and Satan are the central figures in the war in heaven, the battle involved many other key players, each with their own roles and significance. Among the angels, Michael is supported by a host of loyal beings, each committed to upholding God's will. Gabriel, often seen as God's messenger, is another significant figure, although the scriptures do not explicitly mention his involvement in the battle. His presence in the heavenly hierarchy suggests he played a role in the events leading up to and following the conflict. The cherubim and seraphim, the highest orders of angels, also likely played crucial roles in this celestial conflict. These beings, often described as guardians of God's throne and the executors of his will, would have been instrumental in defending the divine order against the rebellious forces. On the opposing side, Satan, formerly known as Lucifer, led his own cadre of fallen angels. These angels, who had once served God, were now aligned with Lucifer in his rebellion. Among them, the most notable are the principalities and powers, terms used in the New Testament to describe various ranks of evil spirits that oppose God's purposes. These fallen angels, like their leader, were beings of great power and influence, and their rebellion was driven by the same pride and ambition that led Lucifer. The battle, therefore, was not just a clash of individuals, but of entire hierarchies of celestial beings, each fighting for their vision of what the cosmos should be. The nature of the war in heaven has been the subject of much theological speculation and debate. Was it a literal war, with swords and shields, or a symbolic struggle representing a deeper spiritual conflict? The answer may lie somewhere in between. The imagery of the battle, with Michael and his angels fighting against the dragon and his forces, suggests a conflict of immense power and intensity. The Bible does not provide specific details about the tactics used in this war, but we can infer that it was a battle fought on multiple levels: physical, spiritual, and ideological. Michael, as the commander of the heavenly host, would have employed tactics befitting a leader of his stature. His strategy likely involved rallying the angels, instilling in them the resolve to fight for the preservation of heaven and the divine order. The unity and loyalty of the heavenly host would have been Michael's greatest strength, a stark contrast to the discord and ambition that fueled Satan's rebellion. On the other hand, Satan, known for his cunning and deceit, would have relied on manipulation and coercion to maintain control over his forces. His tactics may have included attempts to undermine the morale of the loyal angels, spreading fear and doubt among them in a bid to weaken their resolve. However, the ultimate failure of Satan's rebellion suggests that his strategies, while formidable, were no match for the righteousness and unity of Michael and his forces. The battle's outcome, Satan and his angels being cast out of heaven, can be seen as the ultimate victory of divine order over chaos. This expulsion was not just a physical removal, but a spiritual defeat, a clear demonstration that evil, no matter how powerful, cannot triumph over the will of God. The war in heaven, therefore, serves as a powerful allegory for the ongoing struggle between good and evil, both in the spiritual realm and within the hearts of humanity. It reminds us that, while the forces of darkness may challenge the light, they are ultimately doomed to fail. The decisive moment in the war in heaven came when Satan and his angels were cast out of the celestial realm. Revelation 12:9 vividly describes this event. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent, called the devil and Satan, which deceived the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were This expulsion was not merely a defeat. It was an eternal banishment, a stripping away of the divine favor that Lucifer and his followers once enjoyed. Their fall from grace was profound, symbolizing the ultimate consequence of rebellion against God. The scriptures indicate that Satan and his followers were cast down to earth, where they would continue to play a pivotal role in the spiritual battles that would unfold among humanity. Their expulsion marked the transition from a celestial struggle to a terrestrial one, as Satan, now the adversary of both God and mankind, set his sights on corrupting and opposing God's creation. The once magnificent Lucifer was now the embodiment of evil, his pride and ambition leading him to a place of darkness and despair. For the fallen angels, their expulsion was a permanent exile, separating them from the divine presence and casting them into a state of eternal torment. The impact of the war in heaven was felt not only in the heavenly realm, but also on earth. In heaven, the expulsion of Satan and his angels reaffirmed the sanctity of God's authority. The rebellion, while significant, ultimately served to reinforce the loyalty and faithfulness of the angels who remained true to God. The war was a purification of sorts, a means by which the heavenly realm was cleansed of dissent and disorder. It demonstrated that even in the face of great opposition, God's will would prevail, and his kingdom would remain unshaken. On earth, however, the consequences were more dire. With Satan cast down, the stage was set for the ongoing battle between good and evil that would define human history. Satan, now the prince of this world, would seek to corrupt and destroy God's creation, using his cunning and malevolence to lead humanity astray. The fall of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, for instance, can be seen as a direct consequence of Satan's expulsion and his subsequent role as the tempter and deceiver. The war in heaven, therefore, is not just a story of what happened in the distant past. It is a prelude to the spiritual warfare that continues to this day, a conflict that each person must face in their own life. Furthermore, the expulsion of Satan and his angels also had implications for the broader cosmic order. Their fall created a divide between the forces of light and darkness, a chasm that would become the battleground for the souls of humanity. The existence of evil in the world, the presence of suffering and temptation, can be traced back to this primordial conflict. Yet, within this struggle, there is also hope. For the war in heaven foreshadows the ultimate victory of good over evil, a victory that is promised in Christian eschatology. The war in heaven is rich in symbolism and offers profound lessons that resonate throughout Christian theology. At its core, the war represents the eternal struggle between good and evil, a conflict that is not just external, but internal, fought within the hearts and minds of every believer. Michael's victory over Satan is a powerful symbol of the triumph of humility, obedience, and faith over pride, rebellion, and defiance. It reminds us that, no matter how formidable the forces of evil may appear, they are ultimately powerless against the righteousness and justice of God. This celestial conflict also serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of pride and ambition. Lucifer's fall is a stark reminder that even the most exalted beings are not immune to the temptations of power and glory. His desire to be like the Most High led to his ruin, a lesson that underscores the importance of humility and submission to God's will. The war in heaven teaches that true power lies not in self-aggrandizement, but in the willingness to serve and obey the Creator. In addition, the story of the war in heaven offers hope and assurance to believers. It illustrates that, despite the presence of evil in the world, God's plan is ultimately one of redemption and victory. The casting out of Satan from heaven is a foreshadowing of his final defeat, as prophesied in the book of Revelation, where he will be cast into the lake of fire, never to deceive the nations again. For Christians, this narrative serves as a reminder that their faith is part of a larger cosmic struggle, one in which they are called to stand firm against the forces of darkness. Knowing that the ultimate victory has already been secured, we have journeyed through the celestial realms, exploring the dramatic and theologically rich narrative of the war in heaven. We began by examining the origins of this conflict, rooted in Lucifer's pride and rebellion, which led to his downfall and the division of the heavenly host. We then analyzed the intense battle itself, where Michael and his angels stood as the defenders of divine order, ultimately triumphing over Satan and his forces. Finally, we explored the aftermath of this war, considering its profound consequences for both heaven and earth, and the ongoing cosmic struggle between good and evil. The war in heaven is more than just a story of celestial warfare. It is a profound allegory for the eternal struggle that defines not only the spiritual realm, but our own lives as well. It reminds us of the dangers of pride and the consequences of turning away from God. Yet, it also offers hope, illustrating the power of faith, loyalty, and obedience to overcome even the greatest of adversaries. Michael's victory is a testament to the fact that, no matter how strong the forces of darkness may seem, they cannot withstand the light of divine justice. As we reflect on this narrative, we are called to consider our own spiritual battles. Just as the angels in heaven had to choose sides, so too must we decide where our loyalties lie. Will we follow the path of pride and rebellion, or will we, like Michael, stand firm in our faith, defending the principles of righteousness and truth? The war in heaven serves as a powerful reminder that these choices have eternal significance, not just for ourselves, but for the entire cosmic order. I encourage you to take these lessons to heart as you navigate your own spiritual journey. Reflect on the symbolism of the war in heaven and what it means for your life. How can you embody the virtues of humility, obedience, and faith in your daily actions? How can you resist the temptations of pride and ambition that led to Lucifer's fall? Engage with this story on a deeper level, and let it inspire you to stand strong in your own battles, knowing that you are part of a larger cosmic struggle where good will ultimately triumph over evil. Please share your thoughts and reflections in the comments below. Your insights can help foster a deeper understanding of this profound narrative and its implications for our lives today. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content that explores the rich and complex stories of Christian theology.